Ella's Study Notes, where advanced English meets real-life magic.
Today, we're diving into the absolutely dramatic life of Mary Stuart, better known as Mary, Queen of Scots. I mean, think about it. She was born a queen, was briefly the Queen of France, and had a super strong claim to the English throne. Her story? It's not some dusty old footnote in a history book. It's a real-life thriller about power, politics, and faith that would eventually cost her absolutely everything. And that really is the central question, isn't it? How does someone born to rule, with claims to multiple kingdoms, end up losing it all? Not just her crown, but literally her head. That's the incredible, tragic mystery we're going to unpack. You see, Mary wasn't just another monarch. In a time of huge religious upheaval, she was the Catholic hope. Many saw her as the rightful heir to the English throne, which put her on a direct collision course with the Protestant establishment. She was right at the epicenter of it all, which makes her story just so compelling. And that's really the perfect word for her: intriguing. Her life is just jam-packed with mysteries, conspiracies, and unanswered questions that make her story so fascinating, even centuries later. Okay, so to really get why Mary's life took such a tragic turn, we first have to understand the world she lived in. This central conflict that shaped everything was this. She was a devout Catholic queen in an age where Protestantism was on the rise. So here's the setup. You've got Mary Stuart over here, the Catholic Queen of Scotland with a powerful claim to the English throne. And then you have her cousin Elizabeth I, the Protestant Queen of England. Now, this wasn't just some family squabble. In an era of brutal religious wars, this was a political powder keg, just waiting for a spark. With all that tension simmering in the background, Mary's actual reign as queen was, well, anything but calm. This is where her story really starts to spiral downwards into chaos. You have to remember, she grew up in the incredibly lavish French court, so when she returned to a much more austere, Protestant-leaning Scotland, it was a massive culture shock. Her rule was instantly swamped with plots, scandals, and non-stop political drama. The only word for it really is turbulent. And that's exactly what her life was. Just constant, unstable conflict and confusion. It's like she was trying to pilot a ship through a hurricane, day in and day out. So, what was fueling all this chaos? Well, it was a perfect storm, really. You had those deep religious divides, ambitious nobles all fighting for power, and then Mary's own personal life exploded into scandal, especially after her husband, Lord Darnley, was mysteriously murdered, and she very quickly married the guy everyone suspected of doing it. She got completely embroiled in the whole mess. And that's exactly what embroiled means. To be so deeply tangled up in a conflict that there's just no easy way out. She was trapped. All that turbulence, that chaos, it just couldn't last forever. The political storm finally broke, and the Scottish nobles backed Mary into a corner, forcing a decision that would ultimately seal her fate. And just look how fast it all unraveled. The scandal over her husband's murder gave her enemies the perfect excuse. The nobles rebelled, she lost a key battle, and she was forced to give up her crown. Her one last desperate hope? Flee south to England and throw herself on the mercy of her cousin, Queen Elizabeth. And that was it, the point of no return. Mary was forced to abdicate, to formally give up her right to rule. Her time as Queen of Scots was officially over. Running to England should have been a lifeline, a fresh start, but instead, it became the final, tragic act in her story. This quote just sums up the cruel irony of it all, doesn't it? The one place she thought would be her sanctuary ended up being her prison and her tomb. See, Queen Elizabeth didn't see a cousin in need. She saw a massive political threat. Mary was the Catholic alternative to her throne, and she was way too dangerous to let roam free. So instead of getting help, Mary was locked up. She would spend the next 19 years as a royal prisoner, a pawn in a deadly game. After all those years of plots and conspiracies, Mary was eventually caught up in a plot to assassinate Elizabeth. And that was the end. Her long imprisonment was over, but it ended on the executioner's block. A truly tragic demise for a woman who was born to wear a crown. But
Her death wasn't really the end of her story. Her incredible life, this epic tale of power, betrayal, and faith, it's still captivating us. It's inspired plays, novels, movies, you name it. Her legacy is still very much alive.
So that leaves us with the million-dollar question, the one historians still debate to this day. Was Mary Stuart just a tragic victim, caught in the crossfire of the political and religious storms of her era? Or was she the architect of her own downfall, making choices that led her straight to that executioner's block? It's that question that makes her one of history's most fascinating and enduring figures.